Hey everyone, it's Types, and anytime a new Pokemon TCG set or card is revealed or leaked or teased or whatever, people love to talk about them, and I love to talk about them. A lot of the videos that people like to watch the most on my channel and that I enjoy the most making are the videos that are, again, about these new cards, speculating and analyzing them. And again, if you like those, you should, of course, subscribe because I love doing that. And we are going to get some new cards soon, maybe, or maybe not. We got 30th Celebration soon-ish. But, cards get overhyped. That's not shocking, right? I mean, we'll look at Pitch Black here. Pitch Black is obviously very new, and we'll see how the cards look in the long term. But you look at, for example, Hide and Sneak, I think, end up being a little overhyped there. Though it's definitely all right. And if you look at, for example, the decks that people are playing, we look at currently Mega Extra Drill is really highly played. Hide and Sneak is pretty highly played. Two Cannon, apparently it's a deck on Limitless now, is pretty highly played, which are obviously all new decks there. Chaos Rising format, we see Mega Greninja is pretty highly played. Beedrill is highly played. These are all, falling in the top 10 in plays. We see Perfect Order, we see Mega Starmie. We look older, we see Phantasmal Flames, we see Mega Lopunny from that. We see in Mega Evolution that there is Mega Absol Box. And, going back just in Rivals, we see Martin Scrimsnarl EX at the second highest played deck. We even see Ethan's was this set as well, right? Yeah, Ethan's was just in Rivals there. We look at, Journey Together. Again, like just, you see the same pattern here. We see, wait, do we actually see it? Yeah, we see Hops, which is technically top 10. And Ends. Funnily enough, Ends is like, proved to be a pretty solid deck there. I would say it is the second best deck in Standard, but long story short, we see these decks being, overhyped when they're new, which is not surprising, and overrated, overplayed, which is fine. That's not an issue. It's fun, all that good stuff. But when we're talking about these cards before they come out, sometimes cards get really overhyped. So today I'm going to be going over some of those here and talking about why they're overhyped, and some of them, these may actually like surprise you as well. The first card here, this isn't like a top 10 list, so it's, not quite like that, but I have something that's kind of like an honorable mention, which might actually, this one will actually surprise you, which is Budew. Budew actually got overhyped. Now, some of you are thinking, what, how is Budew overhyped? Budew's like super good. There's a legitimate case to be made, because I'm not necessarily talking about these right now, but I'm talking about some right now, but Budew was, at a point, potentially the best Pokemon in the game. I don't think people would say that now, but I mean, it's very good, right? It performs well in events and stuff like that. So this card is very good. Being overhyped and disappointing, that doesn't mean that the card is bad. Budew is definitely not a bad card. It is definitely the best of the cards we're going to talk about in this video here, but this card, if you aren't paying attention to some of the discourse about this card, it's a card that, of course, item locks for free, which is very good, but people were calling for this card to be banned before it came out, which is absurd, right? Like, this card is good, right? And it's also annoying. I will admit it is annoying, but it's good. It's a very good card. It's like a, high-end card, certainly top 10 Pokemon in the game. I think it's got to be there. So, Budew is a good card. But it's not a card that's like game-breaking, broken, right? Like, it's just a good card. When you talk about cards that get banned in Standard, there aren't many bans in Standard. There were two in the, like, I guess the Sword Shield era. The cards were printed in the Sun and Moon era, and I don't even know if those cards necessarily needed to be banned. I didn't really play the game too much at that point with those cards before they got banned. And then you look even before that, you look at Alexander's Trump card, which is a very broken card, one of the most broken cards ever printed. That's certainly my opinion. I think certainly the modern era. Then you look at like the bans in Expanded, and those cards are all like super broken. Let me see if I can pull up that list real quick. And if we look at these cards, something like Online Challenge Amulet shouldn't be banned in my opinion, but that's for another video, which I made. I might make another one like that. But most of these, like Flapple, Scoop Up Nat, Duskull. Okay, Flapple creates an infinite combo. So does Unknown Damage. So does... Maybe those two are the infinite combo ones. There might be one more. I'm not sure. But then you look at Duskull, which is a turn 1 win card. Scoop of Net, turn 1 win card. You look at this combo, which does involve Island Challenge Amulet, but also involves a bunch of cards, and those enable you to turn one, get rid of your opponent's like entire hand, which is like really easy to do, and just some like crazy disruption cards and crazy draw cards. So these cards that are banned, they're like super broken, right? Budew is just good. So this card was overhyped, which is more so an interesting history thing. Honestly, this is a bit of a history video, to be honest, because it is talking about cards in their perception, how it's changed over time. But Budew was legitimately overhyped, which was this card's very good, but it was expected to be even better than than it actually ended up being. But then let's talk about some of the more normal overhyped cards, which is actually a group of cards, which would be the megas. So honestly, not all the megas have been overhyped, and I think people have gotten used to the level. Sorry, I obviously searched for the megas, and now we got all these Meganiums here. Also, if you didn't know, we had Mega Sableye and then also Mega Lopunny were on cards that aren't these aren't mega cards of the mechanic, the megas, not the new megas or the old megas, which are written differently with just the letter M. But we saw the expansion, of course, named Mega Evolution, featuring the Mega Evolutions. And when the megas were revealed, they were revealed to be 3 prizers, and people thought these cards were going to be super broken and unpleasant. Now, this isn't like the focus on of the video talking about the megas. I made a video talking about this in the past, I think before they came out. Not sure if I've actually made one since they came out talking about this, but people were, if you didn't play at this time, there were 3 prizers in the form of VMAXs and Tag Team GXs. These cards were, I would say, overpowered near the end of the VMAX era. For example, when the V-Stars were in Standard, you saw something like Regieleki VMAX be playable. The rest were all, I think, pretty bad. Kyurem VMAX is okay, I guess. I honestly don't really remember them. They're also kind of phased out of the game. There's only 10 of them in the last year or something like that. But the VMAXs and tag teams were a substantial time of power creep, and really overshadowed all the other decks for the most part as well. So people were worried about that for the megas. People saw a card like Mega Lucario and thought, wow, this card's super broken, because it has this high HP number, right? This was the not the highest HP at the time was revealed. Mega Guard was revealed at the same time, but people saw this card and were like, wow, this card's super good. And this is something that we see, and this is honestly because of just looking at big numbers. Big numbers look really scary at times. So Mega Gardevoir has high HP. Look at Venusaur has the highest HP ever, and it does have the highest HP ever. I asked on a YouTube post what people thought were some overhyped cards. Someone said Mega Venusaur. There are a few different megas said. In my opinion, the most overhyped were Mega Manectric EX. This one, I got a lot of comments, a lot of people saying that this card was super good. This card is actually not too terrible in terms of a mega. I think it's probably somewhere in the middle, to be honest. I haven't played with it too much. I played with it a little. It's certainly not that good. It's kind of bad, to be honest, if you're looking at serious decks. And then the other one is Mega Meganium EX. This one, it has proven itself to be a bit, I'd say, worse. Funnily enough, they have a similar amount of plays, I guess, and success there, maybe. But Mega Meganium EX is not really the focal point of the decks it's in there. It's like a tech option, and it's not a very good tech option because of the way that, it involves the same line as Meganium, which is nice. Meganium is a good card. That being said, Mega Meganium EX is a card that doesn't, it requires you to have another evolution line there, another Bayleaf and another Chikorita there. And if we look at a list like this, usually they're running a 2-2-2 line of Meganium. And then if you have Mega Meganium EX, you also need the Meganium. So then you need none of the Bayleafs or Chikoritas to be prized. You can't have the Mega Meganium EX prized, and you can't have both of the Meganiums prized. So that's kind of clunky. And then you need all of them in play in your hand and stuff. So that is pretty awkward as well. And that should also, his list runs 2 forests. Surely most lists run 4. Again, whenever I do videos like this, I always get sidetracked. This one runs 3. But regardless, Mega Meganium EX was a bit overhyped. Again, a bunch of megas were overhyped in this way. Funnily enough, this video obviously isn't about cards that were underrated that ended up surprising, but there was one Mega that ended up doing that, which was Mega Absolute EX. Mega Absolute EX was a card that, I didn't think was going to be super good, and most people didn't either. I didn't really hear anyone talking about Claw of Darkest. People are kind of talking about Terminal Period being a more flashy, interesting attack and a cheaper attack as well. So that was what got most of the focus. It's honestly a pretty bad attack. It can be used within the decks it's played in, kind of. It's pretty not good. Again, it's usable at times, but not great. But Call Out Darkness here is an attack that looks pretty generic, and attacks and cards that look generic, I'd say like Toucannon fits the bill for that. I would even say my Extra EX kind of fits the bill for that. These are definitely cards I underrated, and the community as a whole, for the most part, underrated as well. I think I'm trying to think of before Pitch Black, how much talk there was about Toucannon, my Extra EX. When I say before Pitch Black, I mean before the set came out in Japan, like before it was played at all, because obviously once it started being played in Japan, people kind of picked on stuff, but ultimately cards that are kind of boring tend to be pretty underhyped. Cards that are flashy, I mean, another one here is Mega Charizard EX. This one has a terrible name because of the way that the TCG names, the video names combined, it's kind of rough at times. But this card, also Mega Gardevoir EX, a similar idea. People thought this card was going to be like really nice within within like Charizard EX. I will say this card I think was actually pretty bad in Charizard EX. But it was it was playable in that okay deck, and then since rotation, I mean, people aren't really playing it like at all. This deck runs like Oricorio EX, saw a little bit of play with Mega Charizard. I do want to say Oricorio EX could be good at some point in the future, paired with Mega Heatran EX. I mentioned that previously. We don't have a Mega Heatran EX, but I'm pretty sure will, and it will maybe be fire. So that's a thing worth mentioning. Kind of a cool combo there, but we don't even have that card yet. But Mega Charizard EX, I mean, obviously it's Charizard, right? So people are going to overhype it, but it got really overhyped. Again, same thing with Mega Gardevoir EX there. This, again, was one of the first Megas. It was like maybe the first Mega revealed. It was, again, revealed alongside Mega Lucario EX there. And Gardevoir EX was one of the top decks in the game at that time. And people were like, wow, this is going to be like super good in Gardevoir EX. And I was like, it's okay in Gardevoir EX, and it's pretty terrible outside of Gardevoir EX, which it is. It's proven itself to be not good. Apparently someone played it. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look very good. I'm not gonna lie. This deck doesn't look very good. I mean, it's funny. It looks like it has some cool things. It does. I'm not gonna lie, but a lot of these cards aren't played too much. Speaking of the cards of this deck, there's actually another one that I think end up getting a little overhyped. This is definitely one that I thought was going to be really good. A lot of these cards in this video I didn't think were going to be amazing. They're more big flashy cards, but Mystery Garden was the card I thought was going to be really good because it's a draw stadium. Stadiums in the Pokemon TCG, I mean, you look at standard format, most of the stadiums are, let's see. When I'm typing and talking, that doesn't always go so well. There we go. Well, that works. So we look at the the stadiums in standard that are good. And let's see, I can sort by rarity as well. It's obviously not all these are super good. These are the ones that have seen some play. I think Community Center, no one would say is like a super good stadium, but the ones that are pretty good, I mean, you're looking at like Jamming Tower, you're looking at Rockets Watchtower, you're looking at Battle Cage, Nighttime Mine. These are some of the better stadiums, and they are all very defensive, so they're not, helping you. Air Zero Underdepths, that can do some cool stuff. Academy at Night, obviously very good for Slowbro there. Slow King. It's actually not bad for Slowbro either. And by the way, you should try Slowbro. It's super sick. It's super hard to play as well. And some more like specific ones. Force of Vitality as well. That one's going to be pretty good. And Mr. Garden has seen some play, right? Mr. Garden is not a terrible card. It's seen some play. It's seen okay play in Gardevoir. Honestly, this is a little more than I thought, but it didn't end up being this like crazy good card in Gardevoir either. I thought it was going to be this like true staple, seeing tons of play, being played in high counts, and being like a crazy good card, alongside other people as well. People thought even people who are lower on the card were like, oh, well, it's going to see something in Gardevoir. And I thought this card was going to be like super amazing, paired with, I mean, actually now I think pairing it with Telepathic Psychic Energy like seems really cool, but the decks that it's good in just don't really quite exist. I mean, Psychic, I've talked a lot about this with Telepathic Psychic Energy, where Psychic is good, obviously. You got some good Psychic cards in Standard, but their synergy isn't really, you don't really have a good, I'd say, Psychic deck, as in a deck that has just mostly Psychic stuff. You look at Dusknoir plus Mega Dancing EX or something like that, and that's okay, right? This deck isn't super good though. You could also pair it with Jolteon EX, the Dusknoir. I guess you could pair Mega Dancing with Jolteon too, but ultimately, this is a deck that Wondrous Patch, or I mean, not Wondrous Patch, though. Wondrous Patch is good, but Mystery Garden is legitimately absurdly good in, but this deck just isn't that good. So, well, Mystery Garden is a solid card. It's a card that needs the right fit, and it's not a card that can make a deck really all on its own there. Then we got some other interesting cards here. I guess another big card would be Mamoswine EX. This is definitely one that this video isn't just me running victory laps about cards that I was right on that some people are wrong on, but Mamoswine is one of these cards. Mamoswine EX, like the Megas, it's got big numbers, but it's like super clunky. Its ability is pretty mediocre. I'd compare it. I'd say it's probably I was gonna say a little better than Toucannon, maybe. I don't know. It's a similar power level to Toucannon. Honestly, this card reminds me a lot of Toucannon because it has, I mean, you can just read it, right? It does like similar things to Toucannon. So it's cool, but it's not, I mean, it's not super expensive, but it's more expensive than you'd like. You to power it up using probably some stage 2. Wow, this is a while since this deck's been played. Obviously these cards aren't all in standard right now, but you have some cool stuff you can do with Mamoswine, but it's not a super impressive Pokemon. It's a very mediocre Pokemon. It has big numbers, has a really high ceiling, kind of like something like Meganium EX, but obviously it just it struggles to hit that ceiling a lot of the time. Speaking of cards that are just super crazy, we have Lapras EX. Oops, Lapras EX. There we go. Not this card. This card is not good. It's not hyped. In fact, this is the card that I'd say is like anti-hyped because it was revealed as a mega promo card or a promo card in Japan. So like people just don't know this card exists. I mean, there are lots of cards people don't know exist, like this Lapras, which I didn't know exists. But this Lapras EX from Stellar Crown, like apparently that single prizer, is really funny. It's seen like no play, by the way. Most of these cards haven't really seen play. This one's seen like shockingly little. I mean, not shockingly little, but very little. Lapras EX's first attack is just a damage attack. It's mediocre, and funnily enough, when it's seen play, it's mostly seen play for that attack. But Larmarine is a crazy attack. This card was actually leaked. This was leaked, and normally I don't make videos on leaks, but this one I actually did, and I was like, this is like interesting. Funnily enough, one, this video did quite well, and two, I was like horribly sick during this video. Like there are times when I record videos and I feel like not amazing. Like yes, right now I'm not feeling like super amazing. It was a bit of a running joke that I'd feel like a little under the weather for my videos, but generally I'm fine. But no, that video I was like super sick, but people enjoyed the video. That was kind of surprising. But regardless, Lapras EX has an absurd attack. So obviously, as I said, these were leaks, and I thought this leak was probably real. Obviously, it was real. And I thought like these cards look like kind of interesting or something like that, because this was the introduction of the stellar mechanic, which is not stellar, it's bad, but it's a mechanic that features Pokemon with 3 different types of energy and their attack cost. Lapras EX was one of the 2 basics. Trapdos EX was the other from the set. Trapdos EX was good, though its stellar attack, or it is still like okay, though its stellar attack is not good, but or it's not very good. It's one of the better stellar attacks, though, to be honest. But Larmarine is the one that was the reason I thought these leaks might not be real, because you look at the top 20 cards in your deck, attach any number of energy, find their 2 Pokemon, and we like, then you shuffle. And this attack, I heard people say this attack was like super broken, and I was like, this attack's super bad, which it is pretty bad. Others I thought it was fake is because it's really clunky physically to like count to 20 and then like attach the energies. Like it's clunky, really. But this card is not good. And some of these cards are, for example, Mamoswine EX, if you're playing like casually with friends, like as like a I'd say Pokemon TCG, it's grown and people are getting you have pre-releases and the pre-release decks are better, so people are getting introduced to the game at a higher starting level. But if you're just like each person opens like say a booster box, maybe like half a booster box, you and a friend do that, and it's like sell a crown or whatever. You're like, oh, I want to build a or no, let me go back to one of the cards I mentioned earlier. Like Mega Evolution, you pull like a Mega EX, that card is probably going to be pretty good for you. But the Lapras EX, like Power Splash is okay in a setting like that. Larmarine is not that good, though, because it's 3 different types of energy. This is obviously why its Stellars are just not very good. There are 3 different types of energy, and then their attacks aren't like super good. powering up your board with energy. I mean, we have a Pokemon from the same set, Stellar Crown, funnily enough, that evolves into a Stellar Pokemon, which is the Jolteon here, which is a better energy accelerator. Honestly, might accelerate more energies than Lapras EX. I'm not sure. Obviously, depends on how many energies you're playing, but you're looking for cheap attacks that are easy to power up. Lapras EX is not. This card got some hype, and it did not deserve any of the hype. It's really, really bad. It's a funny card. It's a goofy card, but it's bad. Speaking of silly, goofy cards, we have the next card, Anthea and Concordia. This card is super goofy. You can only use this if you have a bunch of Pokemon in play that are very specific, and then you take a bunch more prizes. So there were two things that people got wrong about this card. One was this card was like doable. It's not really doable like at all. It's almost impossible to pull off. I have seen it been pulled off. But not commonly. It's very uncommon to pull this card off because you need like all these Pokemon in play. And two, you need to then like, it's not an instant win card. Like people are comparing it to, there's someone who I knew who played Yu-Gi-Oh! Or at one point played Yu-Gi-Oh! And compare this card to Exodia. There are lots of people who compare this card to Exodia. Exodia, if you're not familiar with it, I mean, I'm not that familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh! Like at all, but it's like you combine a bunch of pieces and then you just win the game. You don't win the game with this card. If you play it, you still need to, you take 3 more prizes. So if you knock out a Mega, then you win, right? You win the game because you take 3 plus 3 is 6. But most decks in the game, I was talking about, like, Megas aren't that good, and people knew Megas at this point weren't that good. The meta had some Megas, but a lot of not Megas. Theoretically, you could take them multiple knockouts using copying N's Darmanitan. I guess you could also take multiple knockouts using N's Vanillux. Though with N's Vanillux, you need to use the second attack because if you use the first attack, which doubles damage, it doesn't even take extra prizes there because it's not damage, but it's an effective attack. But regardless, technically there are ways to win the game with this when you play it, but like N's isn't even that strong of a deck in terms of, I mean, it's a decently strong deck in terms of raw damage, but it's not crazy strong. Like, it's not one-shot everything. It's not Raging Bolt. So this is just bad all around. And this card, you know, reads like this like crazy epic, awesome, super cool card with crazy high ceiling that can just like win you the game. But the way to actually pull it off is essentially impossible there. Moving on to some cards that are actually a lot more reasonable and simple, we have actually Tool Scrapper. This is a card that I definitely got wrong. I thought was going to be just a staple. It's not a bad card, I suppose. I mean, it's not a great card. Looking at the data, I looked at the tournament results before this, and it's seen reasonable play. In standard, where's the cutoff? Where is it? Obviously, these aren't current standard of the Goldengo, but cutoff is, I should have prepared this before. The cutoff, I believe, is here between Goldengo and Glare and Weezing. So, yeah, it's seen a lot of play in some decks, but it's not like crazy play. And I would say it was disappointing. Tool Scrapper is a card that was from the expansion White Flare. I'm talking about its printing in White Flare, not its printing in like previously. Like in Rebel Clash, it was a good card, and Dragons Exalted, I think, was a very good card as well. I didn't play at that time really, but and not as printing in Chaos Rising, which doesn't have a new regulation mark, so that doesn't really like count anyways. But with Tool Scrapper from Black Bolt, from White Flare, we also saw a Black Bolt featuring another good trainer card, which was Air Balloon. And Air Balloon, I thought like Air Balloon, oh, this is gonna be a little bit better than Tool Scrapper. And from general opinion, that's kind of what I got as well. Tool Scrapper is an okay card. You know, getting rid of tools is fine enough. Tools aren't super good, but they're not like terrible. I mean, Air Balloon itself is a good tool, but like you look at Air Balloon, and Air Balloon's seeing crazy play. Tool Scrapper's seen some play, certainly, but like it lagged when I opened Air Balloon. Like, this is not, my computer's not feeling amazing when I'm scrolling through this. I'm scrolling through Tool Scrapper. There's a lot less. It's a little hard to tell, but there's definitely less with Tool Scrapper. Air Balloon is just like a card that's this amazing staple, super good. Tool Scrapper is okay. You know, it's an okay card. It's a mediocre card. Honestly, it's a card that the amount of play it's seen really surprises me. Tell me in the comment section, one, do you play Tool Scrapper? Two, I guess if you play Tool Scrapper, how good is it? And three, have you been like hit by Tool Scrapper? I'm not someone who plays too many tools, and I also don't play Tool Scrapper, so maybe I'm slightly biased in that way. But like Tool Scrapper is a card that I thought was just going to be this like kind of staple card, something you'd maybe chuck in most lists, and that was like general consensus. Well, maybe at least like a quarter of the list would be playing it, and it's a card that sees some play. It's not a terrible card, but it's a very mediocre card there. Moving on to another card that is another trainer. Not too many trainers on this list, but we have one that definitely had some high highs and has seen some play, but that's Salvatore. Salvatore is a really interesting supporter, letting you evolve on the turn you play a Pokemon. Can be turn 1 going second as well. This card actually is very reminiscent of a card that was banned and expanded, which is Wally. Wally is actually no longer banned and expanded. It got unbanned, which is kind of cool. Wally is now very good and expanded. If you look at the expanded metagame, you see that you're going to see a lot of evolution decks in expanded. I think most of them are. I'm not overly familiar with expanded, but I know Wally is played and expanded, and it's a pretty good card, and I think a good unban as well. But Wally is, a card that this at one point was broken. It kind of has to do with the rules change. But again, Wally was legitimately a broken card, just like so good, unstoppable, like way too good. And Salvatore is similar to Wally. It doesn't let you get into Pokemon that have abilities turn 1, but it is good, allowing you to get up certain Pokemon like Mega Starmie turn 1. That's gonna be pretty rough to deal with. Mega Lopunny, Slowking turn 1 Slowking. That sounds pretty scary. If you're looking at this deck, there's probably one thing you're thinking, well, maybe two things. Why does it play 2 Hacksters? That's kind of, that's not crazy, but it's kind of funny. But no, the thing you're probably thinking is Slowking is not a super easy deck to set up, and Salvatore is a clunky card because you're using your supporter for the turn to do something that's not really setting you up. It technically searches for a Pokemon, but I'd say it's as much of like a search card. It's a little bit less of a search card than Crispin. Crispin is kind of a search card. It is a search card, but it's mostly an energy acceleration card, right? So Salvatore is mostly getting you evolved faster, right? It's kind of like Rare Candy. And Salvatore is, of course, a supporter that doesn't do too much out in terms of setting you up, in terms of getting your cards in play. So this is a reason why, a supporter like Zerosix, Zerosix, there we go, Machinations is bad. But that's for another video. Definitely, I can't make a video without talking about this card though. I love to talk about it. Well, I kind of don't like to talk about it, but Salvatore though. You look at these other cards and you're like, if you want to play some supporters like Carmen, Lilies, whatever, you want to actually like set up, and looking on top of that is like very hard to set up. So Salvatore is super interesting, super high highs, but the highs are like super hard to hit. So Salvatore is just not good. Essentially, the decks you play it in, I've tried it. I've tried it a bunch of times. I've seen lots of people try it a bunch of times. People are like, Salvatore, it's awesome. It's really funny when it works, but it usually just doesn't work, and it misses. This is actually kind of similar to the other cards I talked about, like the Megas and different things like that. Mimikyu EX, Mimikyu EX, these cards that just require a bunch of setup and then are really good when they set up. Salvatore is good when it sets up, and this is a card that I definitely I fell for the trap here. I thought this was going to be awesome, going to be really cool, and it just does nothing, because most of the time you either get it when you don't need it, you don't get it when you do need it, or you just don't set up. It's all bad. So Salvatore, it's funny, but it's not very good. Then we have 2 more cards to talk about here. We have Jolteon EX here. Jolteon EX is a pretty interesting Pokemon that I thought was going to be good, and I think other people thought it was going to be pretty solid as well. Prismatic Evolutions, of course. I was to say it's a bad set. It's a really weird set. Obviously, Budew, I talked about that card before. Very good. A little overhyped, but very good. And the rest of the cards from the set were generally considered pretty bad, but the evolutions were interesting, and they were kind of this evolution deck. That was kind of the idea going into the set. And Flareon EX has proven itself to be a good deck. The deck's Flareon. It's not Evolution Box. We see some other evolutions, maybe Leafeon there for some weakness stuff. Maybe Sylveon for some different stuff. I honestly haven't played the deck enough to know exactly what Sylveon does in the deck, but or played against it enough to know that. But Jolteon EX, I thought this is it's the same second attack as Flareon EX, so that's cool. And you have free retreat, then that's nice. And you have this attack for 2 energy, which is okay. It can do more damage than Flareon. You do need more energy to do more damage than Flareon with Flareon's first attack, but you can do some pretty decent damage there. So I was like, this card's going to be good. And I think other people thought it was going to be fine as well. And Flareon just proved to be just better than Jolteon in essentially every situation, because the second attacks are the same, and you're not really looking to retreat out of this, because it's your main attacker, right? The evolution there, and then being able to accelerate is just nice. Being a consistent setup Pokemon is good. That like does damage and sets up. And Jolteon just is not very special in the deck, and then just doesn't have a place in the deck. So it's a card that's disappointed. Another card, though, this is potentially the most overhyped card. This is Team Rocket's Mimikyu. This is the final card of the video. I should not search Team Rocket, but we found the card. Team Rocket's Mimikyu was another card that was, I think, kind of leaked, but it was like officially leaked. When I say leaked, it was teased, I guess would be the word there, with the pre-release promos, or pre-release cards of Destined Rivals. It technically doesn't have a promo because like it doesn't have a promo. It was a pre-release card with a stamp on it. So just saw this card, but like kind of covered up. So we saw something from like here left. We didn't see the word Terra, so a lot of people thought it was, including myself. Maybe it could have been any attack on your opponent's active Pokemon, even if it wasn't a Terra. So that would be obviously better. And then I think, knew about Team Rocket's Energy. I'm not sure, actually, if we did, but Gardevoir EX was very good. And people were like, wow, this card's going to be crazy in Gardevoir, and good in other decks. This is like this crazy attack against all these different things. Good against Dragapult, which, I mean, it still works against Dragapult, but just good against so many, like it's so good. You know, Copying Attack is good. It's like Mew EX, which is a good card at the time. Mew EX is, oh, this is going to be a pain, isn't it? Well, here it is. Mew EX from 151. Of course, the set named Mew, so shows a lot of cards there, but Mew EX is 3 colors, so yes, Team Rocket's Mimikyu is a Psychic and a colorless, but Mew EX is 3 energy, it's a 2 prizer, and then it copies one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks. So this is the same thing, but for a 2 energy here on a single prizer. So just so good. So techable. Of course, it doesn't copy everything, so people then saw what it actually did, and were like, oh, it only copies Terras. Then people looked at the metagame and were like half the top decks of the game are Terras, right? You look at Dragapult, you look at Charizard EX, which was good at the time. It's rotated now. And you look at the Ogerpons, which are also good. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. There was Flareon as well, I suppose. And this was theoretically still supposed to be good. And it ended up just being not that good. This card isn't terrible. It's good in the Team Rocket decks. It's a pretty solid addition. But outside of that, it's pretty underwhelming. Hasn't seen too much play there. Team Rocket's Mimikyu is a card that, again, got hype kind of because of the way it was revealed, and then people kind of misunderstood it, misinterpreted what they thought it was going to be, and ended up kind of gaslighting themselves into thinking this card was super good. And I definitely did this as well. But tell me in the comment section what your thoughts are on these different cards. Were there any that you fell for? Any that you think are like secretly still really, really good here? Okay, Budew's like not secretly really good, but the other ones, anything that you think is super underrated now. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section, but I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because that really does help support me and the channel, and share the video and that, all that good stuff. And huge shout outs to the YouTube members as well for supporting me. Really means a ton, but I hope you all enjoyed. As always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.